episode of our Culinary World Tour. Today we are gonna cook food from Albania. Albania is next to Greece and along the Mediterranean Sea. Albania is in Europe.
So our second episode takes us to Albania, and from Albania I've chosen to make a bean stew or soup which is called yanime fasuli. This is a bread which is called Pitalka, and this is a casserole with cheese and vegetables, mainly bell pepper, and this is called fergase Tirane. Please excuse my pronunciations. I used Google Translate for figuring out how to say these, but these were delicious. We all loved it. Made a perfect meal, and let's go see what the recipe is. So I've been growing basil. This is in our side yard, and I grew this from seed. We planted this in spring about 4 months ago. I think it was about February or March when we planted them, and they are loving the heat. The temperatures here in Arizona have been greater than 110 for the past month, and the basil loves it. The flavor is intense and it smells amazing right now. So I'm going to use these leaves for our fergase Tirane today. Here is a detailed list of ingredients for your easy reference, and for additional written instructions, please see the link in the description box below. So for the Pitalka bread, we are going to use 4 cups of all-purpose flour, 1.5 teaspoons of yeast, 1 teaspoon of sugar. This is salt. We're going to use 1.5 teaspoons of salt, half a cup of milk, and we will probably need 3/4 to 1 cup of water. I'm going to stir the yeast into the milk and then add the sugar, and I'll set it aside for 10 minutes till the mixture is frothy. Add 1.5 teaspoons salt to the flour. So you can see our yeast mixture is really frothy now, and I'm going to add it to our flour to make the dough. I have my flour in the bowl of my stand mixer. I'm going to add the yeast mixture into the flour and start kneading it. So I've added half a cup of water already in addition to the milk, and I'll add more as needed as the dough comes together. The dough has been kneaded. I ended up using 3/4 cup of water, and it is a firm dough, smooth, and I'm going to shape it into a ball and let it rise for about an hour till it is double in size. The dough has risen beautifully, and I'm going to deflate it and divide it into 6 equal parts. I have cut the dough into 6 almost equal parts, and I'm going to shape it into balls now. Shape each piece of dough into a ball and place it on a parchment paper and let it rest. So then the next step will be to shape it into discs, flat discs, which will be then baked. Cover with a towel or cling wrap to retain the moisture. So I'm going to remove the towel, and now I'm going to use my fingertips and just press this out. So this is about 1/4 inch thick. When I saw the videos or the recipes, they had various thickness of this bread. Some were really thick, some were this thin. So I decided to make it about 1/4 inch thick. Let each disc rest for about 20 minutes before baking it. So I'm going to place this in the oven and bake it for about 10 to 12 minutes. And the oven is preheated along with the stone at 475 Fahrenheit. This has puffed up beautifully. It has been cooking for about 8 minutes. I'll let it cook for another 2 to 3 minutes till it's golden brown, and then take it out. What a beautiful color. It's nice and golden brown. I'm going to put this with the rest of the breads, and it's done. Let's start with the yanime fasuli now. So what we have here is 1 cup of dry cannellini or white beans. These have been soaking for a few hours in water, and I'm going to now pressure cook them. I'm going to add them to my pressure cooker, and then just enough water to cover the beans. And I'm going to cook this with some salt. I've added 1 teaspoon of salt, and we'll cook this for half an hour. So for the rest of the ingredients for the soup, we will need 1 cup each of diced onions, 1 cup of bell pepper. This is a mixture of orange and green bell pepper, 1 cup of diced tomatoes. We'll use a little bit of chili flakes and black pepper and salt. So I'll use 2 tablespoons of oil for this recipe. Now the interesting thing was, in this recipe I read multiple versions where you first cooked the vegetables and then added them to the beans, the cooked beans, or you just added the raw vegetables to the beans along with the oil and pressure cooked it again. So I'm going to use the second method because I was just fascinated. I'm used to cooking everything up front before adding lentils or beans to it. So I just thought it would be interesting to see how the taste differs. So our beans are cooked, as you can see. And now I'm going to add the vegetables. So I will add the onions, the bell peppers, and the tomatoes, all of them in at the same time. So I'm going to mix this in. I will not add more water at this point in time. If needed, I'll add more water after the stew is cooked. I'm going to add my oil now. 2 tablespoons of oil, and I will add additional oil on top of the soup before serving. So I'm adding a little bit of pepper. So this is about 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, and I'm going to add just a pinch of our chili flakes, and then cook this for 10 minutes under pressure again. So our soup is cooked. As you can see, it's still a little watery. So I'm going to turn the heat on again and let this cook till it thickens up a little bit. As you can see, the stew or bean soup has thickened and it is ready to eat. So the Feregese Tirane is a bell pepper casserole with cheese, and for that I'm roasting the bell peppers. Some recipes had roasted bell peppers, some did not. I thought it would enhance the flavor, so I'm going to roast these, and you can roast this in your oven or like this in a pan. So our bell peppers are beautifully charred. I'm going to peel some of the skin, which will come off easily, and then de-seed and dice them into small pieces. For this recipe, I'm going to make cottage cheese. I have 2 cups of milk that has come to a boil, and I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of vinegar diluted with 3 teaspoons of water to it, and it will help separate the milk into the cottage cheese and the whey water. So this cottage cheese, I'll add salt to it, and then I can use the salted cottage cheese for my roux that I'll be making for this casserole. I have placed a big strainer on a glass bowl. I'm going to line it with a cotton cloth and then strain the cheese that we just made so that we are left with the cottage cheese. And we'll need about half a cup of this cottage cheese. So for the Feregese Tirane, our ingredients are 1 cup of diced onions, 1 cup of diced tomatoes, 2.5 cups of our diced roasted bell peppers, basil. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of chopped basil. This is from the garden. For the roux that will go into this, I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. This is the cottage cheese we made, and when I used 2 cups of milk, I was able to get more than half a cup of cottage cheese. So I'm using half a cup of cottage cheese, and then I'll use the extra on top. This is 1/4 cup of yogurt. We have black pepper, salt, and then I'm going to use 1 tablespoon of oil to roast the vegetables. So I have heated up 1 tablespoon of oil, and I'm adding my onions to it. I'm going to let these cook for a few minutes till they start getting translucent, and then I'll add the tomatoes as well as the red bell peppers. So our onions are cooked, and I'm going to add the tomatoes. And our bell peppers, and cook this till the juices are reduced. So I'm going to cook this till most of this liquid has disappeared, but as you can see, our bell pepper and tomato are softening up further. I'm going to add my basil. This is 2 tablespoons of chopped basil, and I'm also going to add some salt and pepper at this point in time and just let it cook through. So I'm adding 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, and I'm adding 1/4 teaspoon of salt only. I'll adjust it before I bake it because we do have salt in the salted cottage cheese that we have made previously. So I'm going to add the 2 tablespoons of butter in this and let it melt a bit, and then I'm going to add flour. So our butter has melted. I'm going to add the flour, and I'm just going to cook the flour to get rid of the raw taste. I'm not going to brown it. So this is just like you would do with any traditional roux. However, the main difference that I noted was that in this, the roux is not made with milk. It is made with yogurt. So I'm going to add our salted cottage cheese and stir it in. And I'm going to lower the heat here and then follow it up with our yogurt. So this is 1/4 cup of just regular yogurt. After adding the yogurt, the sauce starts to smell like feta cheese. So I'm going to stir this really well, and this is it. Our roux is ready, and I'm going to add it to our vegetable mixture. So this is our mixture, and I'm going to taste it for salt real quick. It is delicious. I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of salt more, and it's ready to be baked. So I'm going to split this into 4 parts and put this in individual sized casseroles. Like I said, I'm going to put extra cheese on the on a couple of them and just leave one without the extra cheese, so to see if you know what the difference in taste is. And now this will go in the oven, which is being preheated at 350 Fahrenheit, and I'll bake it for about 20 minutes till it all the cheese melts and it all comes together as one casserole. These are boiling. They've been cooking for about 20 minutes, and I think this is done and it's ready to eat.
Let's taste this.
So this is the yanime fasuli. Do you like it?
Yeah, not bad. Let's taste this.
This is the fergase tirane.
Now let's eat this also. hot, but you can still taste the whole thing. With all of it, it makes one whole good flavor, and it holds that flavor together.
Yeah. Do you want to cut the bread?
Yeah. Can you give me the knife?
How about I cut it for you?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see what it looks like from the inside. Ooh, that is beautiful.
Smells great.
It's just a beautiful, beautiful bread. Here.
Cuts.
Oh, it's still a little hot, so let me
Yeah.
cut a small piece for you. Here you go. You want to dip it in the soup?
No.
It's warm. It's warm.
Okay. Mmm. The bread actually gives a nice flavor and texture. It really comes through.
Do you want to dip the bread in soup or the dip and taste it together?
Let's try the soup first.
Okay.
I could have this all day.
Should we make this again? This combination?
Yes.
What did you like the best?
The bread
Hmm?
and everything else that I had from this plate.
That's awesome.